Okay, let's continue. Part 2 of my NES Collection. Start off with Chrysalis. This is a game I only knew about from magazines like Nintendo Power and other game magazines. Tips and Tricks, I think, or some other magazine I saw it. Never played it growing up. Didn't play it until much later on emulator. And then I finally beat it maybe 4 years ago or so. Good game. The problem is there's not enough buttons on the NES to really switch your type of weapons. So you'll be in a room with like an enemy that's only weak to a fire sword, and you got to switch to fire. Then there's the same room with an ice guy who's only weak to ice, and you got to switch to your ice sword. So you're constantly flipping back and forth between your ice and fire sword. It gets really annoying. Other than that, yeah, it's pretty good. The music's great. It's like a top-down, almost like an ease game. You move really fast. It's linear, but it feels kind of open, but it's not. It's like linear, but it's really, really decent. SNK did a good job with this, other than the annoyances with switching weapons and such. Good game. Try it out if you want to. Out of smoke and he appears, the master of the skies, Darkwing Duck for NES. Another one I didn't play until much later. Into my 30s or 40s. I finally beat it a few times within the past 2 years. Very good. There's also a Game Boy port. It's a platformer very much like Mega Man. I think it was on the Mega Man 5 or 6 engine, one of those engines. You have like a gunshot, and you have like a gas gun. You have a gun that shoots like lightning in direction, like diagonals, and you have like a plunger that you shoot to the wall, almost like Quackshot, I believe, and you can like jump on it to get the one-ups and such. It starts out, you pick three levels like in the city, or 4 levels, and then you go to the last level or so. Pretty good. Decent Disney game. One of the 3 Mac Venture games on NES, you had Shadowgate, Deja Vu, and Uninvited. I think Uninvited was first, then Shadowgate, and then Deja Vu, or I could got those mixed up somewhere. This is a fun first-person Mac Venture. It means it was released on Macintosh computers first, and then ported to NES by Kemco. So basically, you have a number of verbs like hit, punch, talk, and you have items. You can take items. You kind of have to put the clues together. You wake up, you only see your coat. You get the coat, you find keys. And you have to put this mystery together, why there's somebody dead and you're framed or something for it. And there's like a part where you can get like a good ending or bad ending. I did manage to get the good ending and beat this without looking anything up, and it's possible. Between this, Uninvited, and Shadowgate, I haven't played Shadowgate in a while, but I like Uninvited quite a bit because this one's more of a noir kind of feeling, where Uninvited is kind of more spookier, but very, very good. If you like that kind of game, you got to be in the right frame of mind to play those games, because you got to use something on everything. You really got to try out everything. Disney's Adventures in the Magic Kingdom, another Disney game based on the theme park. I've never been to Disney World, wasn't a big Disney fan, so this one isn't really that great. I don't really care for it that much. It has like a platforming section with like a candle that's kind of decent. Then it has like a racing game and like a starship game where you push the buttons on the screen and blow up these asteroids. And there's like a few other stages, but it's based on the Magic Kingdom. It's not that great. I don't really care for it, but it's okay. Double Dragon on NES. This is a game I rented. I think every kid in the 80s played Double Dragon on NES or played Double Dragon in the arcades. Different take on this game. It's cool that, so with the NES, a lot of companies made the games more console friendly. So this wasn't a straight beat 'em up. It had like RPG elements where you could get experience from punching or kicking. Punches gave you more experience, and you gain like hearts, and they gave you abilities. Like you got the elbow, you got the jump kick, you got the grab or stand on a person when they're down and punch them. You could grind at the beginning by punching a guy, letting him live, punching a guy, keep getting extra experience and stuff. Finally beat this last year along with Double Dragon 2. The last guy is very brutal. He has a machine gun, and I got very lucky in beating him. The music of this game sticks with me. Pretty good game overall, but it's has that kind of that cheapness to it. But it's not a very short game, so you can get past it if you practice enough. Like a lot of these NES games are not very long. Look at this box art. Dragon Warrior 2, an improvement of the first Dragon Quest in every way. Party system. You have magic, more magic spells. You have more items, more weapons. You have a ship now. So basically, you start as the Prince of Midenhall. Moonbrook's castle is destroyed. She's turned into a dog. You don't know that yet. And then a soldier comes to your castle and says, "Help! We've been destroyed." You have to set out and find Canik, the Prince of Canik, the guy in green there, and you put your party together. You find Prince of Canik, then you find Moonbrook, and then you set out to beat the wizard Hargon. But spoilers, is there more to it than that? There might be. The NES version is good. It's almost like a rite of passage for Dragon Quest fans to beat the NES version because it was rushed. It came out a year after Dragon Warrior 1, Dragon Quest 1. Look at that artwork. That is pretty sweet. So they tested it, but what they used to test the game did not allow for certain combinations of monsters. So you could get in states where it would just be hard to win. Enemies with instant death spells would wipe you out. So the last cave to the penultimate last area to this game is renowned for being very difficult with pits and platforms that don't mark uncovered whenever you fall on them and come back. They do give you a save spot near the end when you get to Roan, and the last castle is right ahead. It's not very long. You just have some bosses, and then you can fight the boss. And then the final boss, who has full heal and will use it liberally in the game. Last time I fought him a few years ago, on stream, he actually healed himself like 7 times. So I had the full, and 2 full, not mid heal, a full heal. A rite of passage. The last grinding of this game is really, really tough, but other than the NES version with its problems, an improvement on the first Dragon Quest in every way, and the ending theme and the music in this game is excellent. Very, very good. It has like two separate world themes, one when you're alone, and then 2 when you get all together. The party theme changes, and the ship theme is great. Excellent game, excellent game. But maybe if you never played Dragon Warrior 2, or Dragon Quest 2, play it other than the NES version. And then try the NES version now, because I think if you like Dragon Quest, give the NES version a shot afterwards. Give it a shot. It's fun. One of my favorite NES games. I keep saying that favorite NES games, but this one really is special to me. I never had it as a kid. Dragon Warrior 3, Dragon Quest 3. Look at that cover. Great with one of the orbs, the 6 orbs in there. My friend had this game, and I borrowed Dragon Quest 2, 3, and 4 from him. 3 is a very special game. It felt so immense since I didn't play Dragon Quest 2. Coming from Dragon Quest 1, this game felt like a huge improvement. You had multiple party members. You had huge list of items, huge list of magic. You created your characters like D&D, and I always wanted to play like a role-playing game like this, like Dungeons and Dragons. I had like Dragon Strike I wanted to play, the board game where you create your characters, and Dragon Warrior 3 really did that. You could create a priest, a mage, a fighter, a warrior, a merchant. There was no thief though in the NES version, and you didn't have mini medals, and you didn't have a personality quiz. So in this game, you don't have the personality quiz. In later ports, you did have a personality quiz, which determined your stats, and you could change it by reading books. And the music in this game is great. Just awesome. One of the best end boss themes of all time. One of the most important JRPGs of all time. Hugely important in Japan. Hugely important here. And even if you haven't played Dragon Warrior 3, you've played games that took a lot of inspiration from this game. You had the flying bird, the flying god bird, Ramia. Just the openness whenever you got out of, when you got your ship and you were able to go wherever you want. Just a great game, highly replayable, different combinations of classes. Hugely great game. Great game. DuckTales, woo! Yeah, never had this game. My friend had it. Played it then, never beat it until I was in my late 30s, early 40s. Fun game. Different ways to beat it. You can play it by getting the most money. You can play it by not getting as much money, the least amount of money, and there's different endings depending on that. I've only ever gotten like I don't think I've ever gotten the best ending. But there's this one jump in the mines that I always die on, and I always have trouble with that. So I do have trouble with that part in the game. Very good music and fun to jump off your cane on people. Good platformer. In Capcom, they do no wrong. But I actually like DuckTales 2 a little bit more. There's a lot to it. You have like different items you can get. You can pull with your cane. There's items that open up different areas, almost like exploration platformer like Metroid a little bit. Really, really good. And you can get like a good ending by getting more treasure or more pieces of the map or not. I think you can, yeah, you have to find all the map. But there's something else you can like either find all the treasure or not, and you get the worse ending. Very late NES game, but really good. If you like DuckTales and haven't played DuckTales 2, give it a try. It's really, really good. Faxanadu or Fazanadu, I never know what to say. This is in the same series as Dragon Slayer, spin-off of that, and Legacy of the Wizard. Really good look to this game. It's very earthy tones. The soundtrack's great. It's not my favorite because you got to buy all these keys, and once the door's open, it doesn't stay opened, and it kind of just ends. And there's like a bug with this bracelet that doesn't do anything. I like the game. I don't love it. It's still worth a playthrough for sure. There's quite nothing else that looks like it on the NES. Like when you get in, you're climbing up this big tree, and it's so cool. You start at the base, and then you go up into the trunk, and then the leaf part with like this fog. It's very, very cool. If you haven't tried it, give it a shot. It's pretty impressive for what they pull out. It can kind of be kind of difficult, and you got to grind, but that's fine if you're used to RPGs. You kind of do that. Really, really good graphics, and the portraits of the guys are really funny. They kind of blink a lot too. Really, really, really interesting game. Felix the Cat by Hudson. Felix the Cat was a cartoon I'd never seen, and I didn't play the NES game until much, much later. Pretty simple to get through, not too hard. Really good graphics, though. Plays very well. Good platformer overall. You kind of like get these magical like purses or something, and you morph into like a guy with a boxing glove, then you get Kane with magic, then you get like a tank and an airplane, and it drops, and when you get hit, you go down one level. So not too hard, but very fun. And it's on Game Boy too, as well as DuckTales and DuckTales 2 are on Game Boy, and Dragon Warrior 1, 2, and 3 are on Game Boy, and Dragon Warrior 3 is on Game Boy Color. Fester's Quest, a game I like, but it has problems. I think people just look at those problems and don't look at the whole game. The main problem is that there's no checkpoints. So if you die, you have to go track the whole way back to where you were, and that can be a long trek, and you go through the boss rooms, and you don't get your item. You don't like keep your items you had, or you do keep your items you have, but it's a lot easier to just play through this once without repeating. I have beat this twice. The music on it is Sunsoft, classic Sunsoft music, but it has problems that, with the gun, like the gun circles, so it'll sometimes miss enemies in tight quarters. So that's a problem. So before you go through this game, you want to upgrade your weapon to the max, so it shoots straight and in 3 projectiles, and hold that onto that, like grim death. I think this game, it has problems, but people act like it's like impossible. It's not impossible. It's just very, very, it's difficult, but you can get through it. Flintstones Rescue of Dino Hoppy, kind of like an interesting game. It's not great. You have this club that you can charge up, and you make jumps, and you have to grab a lot of platforms to pull yourself up. And a lot of these jumps you don't think you can make, but you can by grabbing the platform. You have to kind of like, later when you rescue Kazoo, he gives you powers, and there's this part with this lava that flies up, and you have to like save your powers to fly and avoid the lava. I've never figured out how to get past that without flying. It's a decently okay game. I've never played its sequel, uh, Dinosaur Peak, I think. But it's okay. Taito, it's decent. This is a very good light gun game, Freedom Force, where you start out and you shoot hostage. You shoot like terrorists on a plane that pop out. Then you go to like these other areas inside of a building, and it's pretty short. It does loop. It's kind of challenging. I went through one loop. One of my favorite light gun games on the NES, Freedom Force, Sunsoft, good music, decent game. A game my cousin had as well, Friday the 13th. I finally beat this for the first time last year. Finally learned out how to play it. It's surprising how scary this game is. I feel like I beat it, just got lucky, because you don't want to fight Jason inside the cabin because he gets much faster. And I was finally able to get to the point where I was able to finish him off outside with the torch, and finally beat him, because you have to beat him like 3 times, and each time he gets faster. The map, it kind of goes in a circle, so going right at the top of the screen means you go right, but going right at the bottom of the screen is not. It's kind of like flipped, but once you wrap your head around that, it's a little bit easier to navigate, but it's an okay game. I kind of enjoy this game. You do get better at it, but it does have problems for sure. And it has a great atmosphere. It does feel scary. G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, by Taxan. This is another one. We were talking about Barai Fighter. This is another Taxan game. It does have multiple playthroughs. I played through it, I think, twice. So the gist of it is you pick your Joes, and then you assemble the team, and you go through an area. It's a platforming area, and you upgrade your Joes with these dog tags to increase their power and life, and it'll get stronger. Each Joe is like Gridiron has the most firepower. Storm Shadow can jump really high, or Snake Eyes. And when you get to beat the boss at the level, then you go to a base area where you have to plant. They're like big mazes where you have to plant bombs on specified areas with check marks. Then you escape the area and fight a boss, and you do that, and you repeat. Each maze gets a little tougher each time, but I was able to make it without mapping. Very good game, a lot of good ideas, and there's multiple loops too if you want to go through. G.I. Joe, The Atlantis Factor, much like the original G.I. Joe. I believe, I can't remember a lot about this game. I remember being very similar though, but I can't remember much anything else than that. If you had to choose one, I'd probably go with the first G.I. Joe, because I don't remember much more about this one. And this one's published by Capcom, which is strange. And the other one was Taxan. I think they're both the same developer, though. Gargoyle's Quest 2. This is the sequel to Gargoyle's Quest on the Game Boy. It's like a top-down adventure game. It feels like you think it's an RPG, and it does have RPG elements, but it's very linear. You get like upgrades to your jump to make you float and jump higher, and then float longer. You get a nail to increase your attack, and throw a fireball. And it has a lot of platforming with that. It uses the platforming very well, so you got to jump, float to a platform, avoid spikes, jump up, float. Very cool platforming challenges. Very good graphics and sound. It's a Capcom game. It's good. And the first Gargoyle's Quest is good too. This is a series broken off of Ghosts and Goblins, which we are coming to right now. Ghosts and Goblins, an early Capcom game. I think it was developed by Micronix, who did a lot of Capcom's early games before Capcom developed their own games, one of the first being Mega Man, to make use of the console, to be console specific. So this is a Capcom arcade port, a little janky, but I enjoy it, even though it's brutal. You do have unlimited continues, and you can, once you beat the first loop, you're good enough to go back normally and beat the second loop and see the true ending, and then from there it loops and loops and loops again. I did beat this once, I think. First playthrough, the first loop took like 8 hours or something, and then the next was 5 hours. It unlimited continues, so if you bang your head against it, you will beat it. Oh man, Goonies 2. This is a game I knew nothing about. I think I've heard about it as a kid, but man, this game's great. Great music. It has something about the music, and the sound of this game is just so good. It has the Goonies theme. It has the platforming sections are great. It's confusing inside the maze sections that you go in, but you just look at Mikey in the bottom. If he's facing with his back towards you, that means you're going towards the screen is going up. If he's looking at you on the screen, then down is going down, and then you hit down to go forward. And if you, so there's a front and back map, and depending on where you go, if you hit down when he's looking at you, then you'll go out the back. If you hit up or front, if he hit up when he's going away from you, then he'll go out the back if there's a door. Once you get that, it's very, very, you kind of understand it more. I beat this twice. I still don't know where everything's at, so every time I play it, it's a few hours. But I enjoy it. It's just something about this game. It has problems for sure. Like you got to hit everything twice to find hidden doors and stuff. There is a map which helps, but the map can be kind of confusing. It has its problems, but there's something about Goonies 2, much like Milon's Secret Castle, which we'll get to. It's very similar games, which I think get bad rap, and they have problems for sure. But I think if you give them a chance, they'll grow on you. Gremlins 2, the new batch. This is a Sunsoft game as well, based on the movie, which I've never seen. A top-down platformer where you play as Gizmo, the cute gremlin. You have to go through the tower, the TV tower, and climb up and beat each boss has a gremlin, and it's like 5 stages, and then you beat it. Hard, but you do have unlimited continues. You have shops with this Wiseman who gives you items, and you can either, the thing is you want to get there with enough money and enough health so you can upgrade to extra lives instead of health, or increase your weapon power. And once you have your weapon power, you can like blow everything away pretty quickly. So the better you get at, the more you can upgrade and keep your upgrades and then blow through the game. The platforming can be tricky, but there's like balloons to help you if you fall out of pits that'll take you over large sections of the area. Good game. Guardian Legend by Broderbund, published and Compile developed. Compile's known for their shooters, and this has shooting sections, but what's really great about it is the top-down exploration sections with a huge map. You go around, find chips to upgrade your chips, and then go into these areas like dungeons and upgrades, get upgrades from there. I don't remember 100% about it. I beat it only once, but I'd like to play through it again because I remember really being hooked on it. The music's great. The shooting sections are great. I'm not usually good at shooting sections, but when you power yourself up in the map sections, they're not nearly as hard. Great game. Weird cover, though, I will say. Guerrilla War. If you want to play a top-down shooting co-op game, not Contra, this is probably your best bet. Unlimited lives. You start where your unlimited continues. You start where you normally die. Pretty easy, but it's very fun. Yeah, play this game if you haven't. Gun.Smoke or Gun.Smoke. This is the one cover. There's also another cover. Another Capcom game based on the arcade game, but a little different. Great game. Like, this is one of the more unique shooters on the NES. Oh, not unique, but yeah, it's like you're a cowboy. You hit both buttons to shoot forward. You hit your B button to shoot left, A button to shoot right, and both buttons to shoot forward. You go around and you want to shoot and find the wanted poster. When the wanted poster appears, then the level will stop looping and you can actually fight the boss. But there's also money you get, and you can find a shop person who gives you different weapons, increases your power, and gives you a horse, which lets you take a few hits. Great game. I played it like a few times, like loops. I think did 2 loops or 1.5 loops. Very fun game. If you like shooters and haven't played Gun.Smoke, play it. It's a good game. Heavy Barrel, another game I played. Let's see, Heavy Barrel I beat, and so you have to assemble this gun called the Heavy Barrel. Once you get it, you like have a minute to blast everything in your path. It's this huge fireball, and it decimates everything. The trick is to knowing where you go through these levels, there's little chests, and if you know what's in the chest, you can beeline to those chests and put the Heavy Barrel together quickly and get your upgrades along the way. There's some tricky parts near the later level that you kind of memorize, like any NES game. But it's pretty cool. It's a top-down shooter. It looks good. It looks decent, not great. There is co-op I never played, but it's a fun game. Oh, now we're talking. This is Isolated Warrior. I think this is Kid developed, who did... I don't know if they did... Did they do this? I'm not sure. It might be Kid. I'm not sure. Isometric shooter where you can get upgrades to shoot in front of you, behind you. You can also jump, I believe. Very fun game. There's this part where I think you have to get through without using and continue to a certain level, then you get a better ending, and I've done that. I only did it once though, but I really was addicted to this. And I don't play a lot of shooters, but really good shooter. Oh boy, Jackie Chan's Action for Kung Fu. This has some really great big sprites. I didn't know about Jackie Chan. I've still never seen a Jackie Chan movie other than like the one with him and Owen Wilson, I think. But it's a very good music, like da 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 da. But really good graphics. You have like a punch, you have a kick, you have a jump kick, and then you have special weapons like a spinning kick you use with up and your other weapon. You have like a flipping kick, and you want to save those for the boss to tear through them. Very fun game. It's also on TurboGrafx 16. Dun, 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 dun. Journey to Silius. My cousin also had this game. It's another one I played growing up. Finally beat this game a few years ago. Very hard. The jumping has a weird arc to it. You get upgrades like after each level. You beat a boss with like a shotgun, a machine gun. You want to save those by hitting. You can hit select and switch to them. Health drops are few and far between. I think they're pink. The jumping, like I said, is deliberate, so you really have to time your jumps because you shoot at an arc. If you fall, you'll like arc down. So it's kind of weird, but you do get used to it. The level near the end with the crates is very difficult. It's like an auto-scrolling platformer. So if you play this game and want to beat it, be prepared to repeat the levels over and over again. But the music keeps you going. It's fun. It plays well. It takes a while to get used to, but great game. It is on Nintendo Switch online, I believe. Kabuki Quantum Fighter, published by HAL. I forget who developed it, but yeah, fun game. If you like Ninja Gaiden, this might be up your alley. You guy plays this guy with it's long hair. You're this guy like a soldier, but you're like inside of like a computer or something. I don't know the story, but his name is like some normal guy's name. He's like 21, but he looks like 16. 26, he looks 16. And you have hair that you can shoot. You swing like Shantae. But you also have this weapon. You hit select and you can switch to it and fire a chip, like a projectile. And after each level, you can upgrade that, get a different upgrade to your chips. That has limited amount though, so it will go down this meter. So when you get to the boss, if you don't have any, you're in a little bit of trouble. You have to use your hair, but you can refill it. And if the trick is to not know when to use it, when not to use it, so you can get through the bosses easy. And some of the jumps, you grab your hair and you can flip up like these candles and platforms with it, and they use the platforming very well with your hair to jump up and reach like areas and stuff. And you get used to the hair. You can do some really cool things in the stage. Karnov. This is a game I like, but it's so glitchy, but it's just so weird. You play as a big Turkish guy with no shirt on. You get like ladders to place and go up to collect other items, and you get like you can shoot like one fireball, then you shoot 3 fireballs. You get like these things that let you fly, these wings. Not a long game, kind of glitchy, but it is kind of cool. There's something about Karnov that's kind of interesting. I played through it twice. I don't remember, like, I'm not good at it, but you can get through it. Cubicle, puzzle game by Irem. I played through it, got the first ending. There's more stages after that. So basically you can freeze enemies and kick them into the water to make platforms to get across, and then there's these things that will hit your blocks across the screen. So you have to make blocks in different ways to avoid enemies and to get to collect all the things, the sacks, to take your balloon to the next level. And there's different animal like areas that have animals at the end you got to beat. It's an interesting game. Good puzzle game. I never did play the extra hard levels. Kickmaster by Taito. I don't know if this was kid developed either. It might be. But this is a game where surprisingly interesting how many kicks they have on the NES. They have like different combinations of kicks where you hit up to kick, up, down to kick, do a slide, down and over to kick, slide. Like the beginning of the game has like a demo of your kicks you can do. So you can watch that. Read the instruction manual before you play this. So the thing about this game is when you kick somebody, they explode into 3 items. Like one's health, one's experience, and one's like money and stuff. And another can be like poison that hurts you. So you kind of have to kick them, then jump and pick what power-ups you do, which is kind of weird. It does get very hard. The last level is insanely hard. You kind of fly off the screen when you do the one kick. When you hit down and kick, you'll like slide off the screen. Has multiple loops too. Very cool game. And some of the best sprite art. There's this a boss in here that's a giant octopus that you got to kill his tentacles. And a giant like wolf lady that's pretty sweet. Just check out the sprite art to this game. Next up, we have Kid Icarus. Great game. Love the music. Starts off hard. Once you get past the first level, it gets so much easier. So if you play Kid Icarus and said, this isn't for me, get past the first level, and you will have a better time. Farm at the first level because there is a hidden experience thing in the tracker in this game. And when you get to the end, the more experience you have by killing enemies, the more life you'll get. So if you find a place and you can farm enemies, do it. Then when you get to the end of the first area, you'll get some more life. And then you go to another vertical area. Once you get past that, then you go to the first side-scrolling area. And after that, you go to a dungeon. So once you get past that first 2 levels, the game gets a lot easier, I promise. Great music. Just really, really good beats to this game. There's something about this game that's very, very fun. The Eggplant Wizard can go suck an eggplant, though. Hate him. Oh man, Kid Nicky Radical Ninja. This is a game that's glitchy and I shouldn't like as much as I do. It's one-hit deaths, but there's something about this game that's like just early NES, like almost like this is Daddy East and Bad Dudes. Like this is a much better game than Bad Dudes, but